College campuses operate like small cities. Thousands of students live, study, eat, gather, and move through the entire facility, residence halls, cafeterias, hallways, classrooms, every day, creating constant demands on cleaning, maintenance, logistics, communication, and more. At Michigan State University, those responsibilities require more than simply keeping buildings clean. They require leadership, culture, teamwork, adaptability, and a strong commitment to the student experience. And today, I'm excited about our episode because we have two real pros with us. We're joined by Charles Stevens and Marque Black from Michigan State University, which is a valued ISSA member organization. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Well, let's get right into our focus today, which is a spotlight Michigan State University. Let's get to know you a bit. Charles, tell us about yourself and your role at Michigan State University.
Thanks, Jeff. So my name is Charles Stevens. I get the privilege to serve as the Associate Director for Residence Hall Services at Michigan State University, which means I have oversight of the 27 residence halls that service first and second year students all the way up through your senior year if possible, and primarily focus on the custodial and maintenance of those areas and long-range asset. And I'm also a proud alum twice over, having earned my bachelor's and master's degree from the university.
You didn't go far to get your job, did you?
Well, it was a long journey, all the way over to the East Coast, to the real Midwest, and then all the way back.
And then back home.
Yeah.
All right.
Where the heart is, right?
I like that. Nice story. And Marque, tell us about yourself and what you do.
My name is Marque Black. I also have the pleasure of serving as the Associate Director for University Apartments and Central Services. So I oversee our university apartments here, which is 1855 student, 1855 family, University Village, and previously our property out there in Spartan Village. I also oversee central maintenance, which is our upper level maintenance here at Michigan State, which also includes our culinary food prevention services, and also works on some of our larger scale projects in our halls. Much like Charles talked about, I am a little bit of a journeyman myself, but I received my undergrad and grad in Missouri, and I travel a little bit from Texas, going all the way to the East Coast of Pennsylvania. But I always feel like the Midwest is home, so you kind of just come back and I landed back here in Michigan 1 month after Charles started. So we both started together here at Michigan State, and it's I would probably say from my standpoint, it's just been a good time ever since.
Fantastic. Good story as well. We have a few questions for you as we spotlight your university. And Marque, we're going to start with you on this one, and then Charles, you can add some as well. So and what you talked about, custodial operations, maintenance, residence halls, apartments, all the things you do, you both oversee a huge part of the student living experience at Michigan State. What are some of the unseen things your teams do every day that most students, they just don't know, they don't realize it, but that make a major difference in how they experience campus life?
Well, first and foremost, I want to highlight our staff here. You know, they do such a great job getting out there and taking care of those things. And again, as you talked about, Jeff, most of the time it's unseen, right? And I'll start with our food tech team, right? They're getting into the dining halls at around 6 a.m. before our students get there for breakfast. They're taking care of those machines in there, taking care of those ovens, and making sure that they're good and operational for breakfast, and making sure we're good and operational for lunch as well. Talking about the move in and move out times, our crew over here in central maintenance is taking care of our key boxes. I highlight one of our 1585 techs, our maintenance 3 techs, literally built 8 key holders from scratch, wood, put it together, shaved it down, got everything together, and put those together and had those out there within 6 months. Built 8 of those, and I think some of the things our students don't see is really it's really just those it's those little things, I'm going to highlight those little things here real quick. Plaster work. Plaster work, a lot of people don't see the amount of plaster. Our buildings are, I'm going to say seasoned. I use that phrase a lot about our buildings. They're a little older. So our folks are consistently consistently working on the buildings, making sure that they're operational. And most of the time, that is during our low occupancy times. Most of the times, that is during the summer and during spring break when students are not here. And I think they do such a great job doing that. And it's also, again, as you talked about, Jeff, it's when no one's here. And they do it, and I think they don't get enough credit for it. And Charles is going to talk about the in the hall in the hall items, but I think from a central maintenance standpoint in university apartments, a lot of our stuff is taken care of before students wake up, and a lot of our stuff is taken care of when students are sleeping. So it's so we kind of so by the time they wake up in the morning, they just wonder why everything's fixed. And they don't know how it got done. But I think our crew again. I highlight our 1585 maintenance crew. They do such a great job taking care of things, getting up here 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes not leaving until 10 p.m. Even if that's a little bit of overtime, they're taking care of it.
I like it, and I love the word season because you're right. These aren't old buildings. There's character, right? There's a past. There's history. It's great. I love that. Charles, he said you're going to talk about this as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so with over 5.6 million square footage for our division, and also the 27 residence halls plus three plus apartment areas, we cover a lot of students, about 16,000 students who live with us on a year in, year out basis during the academic year. Um, they don't experience Michigan State University in silos. And so we understand that we are a big part in creating the environment that helps them be successful. We pride ourselves on directly impacting student learning from the facility standpoint by creating environments where they can live and thrive and learn. And so our teams are really dedicated to providing those services day in and day out. We hold our cleaning standards to a high regard, instituting both ISSA and APA guidelines, and we hold our maintenance standards to those same high standards as well.
Good details. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being a member of ISSA and using the resources that we offer our members. That's great. Charles, we're going to go to you on this next question, then Mark, you can add as well. And you both alluded to this, but talking about how universities everywhere, they struggle at times with staffing, training, retention, sometimes morale. What have you found works best when it comes to building teams, your teams that genuinely care about the buildings, students, and each other?
Yeah, and I'll take it from the custodial and staffing level component. So I think what we've seen consistent with prior interviews you've had with other institutions, COVID really rocked our landscape in terms of staffing. People started to really make hard choices on what they want out of life, what kind of careers they want to pursue, what help them feel connected to different employment opportunities. Michigan State's no different. We've had some changes. We had a lot of turnover. We're experiencing more turnover and change at the highest levels of our institution. But one of the things that I think that keeps our staff there is the continued investment in them, or should I say renewed investment in them. The department, since Marqueux and I assumed leadership of the unit within facilities, we were without a lot of resources that would help our teams be successful. So one of which was a trainer. So we, over the course of time, have gone on to hire a trainer. Since then, that trainer has been promoted, is now doing and heading up training efforts for the division, which is awesome to see because we pride ourselves as Marqueux and I on being developers and having people who make their intense impact on our institution and our organization, and then move on to bigger and better things, carrying the name of REHS facilities with them as well. So we're looking to fill that trainer position so we can make sure that our custodial and maintenance teams have all the tools they need to be successful and feel confident in when they go out and execute the mission of the institution and helping our students feel safe and secure in their ecological environment where they're learning and growing.
Thank you, Charles. And Mark, you anything to add there?
Charles highlighted a lot of it. I think when Charles and I were both hired here at Michigan State, I think the one of the first things we had to really just approach was the morale, right? And that was um, COVID created a lot of trust, right? A lot of distrust and things, as a lot of things were happening, a lot of things were happening around us. And I think Charles and I came in, we started, I think the main thing is, some people talk about a pyramid, right? I think we started from the bottom and worked our way up. We had to sit down with our frontline staff, from our custodians all the way to our maintenance crew, worked our way up through the supervisors and to the managers, ultimately to our leadership and the director and the assistant vice president. And I think the main thing for us is what are our people telling us? Are we doing something about it? Are we taking the surveys that we're getting back? Or are we just looking at them and then putting them on the side? Are we taking those surveys? Are we taking the town halls that we do? Are we taking the staff meetings that we do, and we're taking that information and doing something with it? And I think over the course of the last, going on, I guess Charles and I, 5 years now, we're going to be hitting here pretty soon. I think we've done a great job, and that's being on the ground, and speaking to our folks, and that's going into the residence halls, that's going into the crawl spaces with them every once in a while, and doing the work with them. Um, it's important for everyone to see that it's not your position title, it's not where you sit at in your office or where your office is. It's about being on the ground with them and making sure that you're staying with them, and that you're hearing them, and that they understand that they're not alone. I think Charles and I have done a great job over the last 5 years, making sure we're taking care of that. And again, I'm gonna highlight this as Charles talked about. When you talk about retention, you talk about why do folks stay here. Charles and I were both on that trainer hiring apparatus. And when we hired our former trainer now, we thought we did a great job, but we did such a great job that he got promoted. How, if you really want to highlight the great things that Charles and I are, in our organization is doing, we can just highlight that right there.
I mean, that's what you want. You want to hire the very best, and they are going to move up. So, congratulations to you both on that accomplishment, even though it hurts a bit when now you got to find someone else to fill that role, probably someone else that's going to move up as well. But let's move into, I guess, kind of revisit a little bit behind the scenes stuff. We talked about that a little, but I'm thinking that how your roles cover different operational areas, custodial, maintenance, but the students only see one thing. They just see one experience. So, how do your departments work together behind the scenes to create consistency, especially during what you talked about, busy season, maybe the high pressure moments like move ins or emergencies? I don't know if we've talked about that because things do happen, don't they? Especially with season buildings, things happen. Or large campus events. I believe you always have something going on that's a big event. So, Charles, you start us off, and then Mark, you add to that.
Yeah, yeah, Jeff. There's been a focus from the top down to institute a one team attitude about the way you go about your work, making sure that everyone is in alignment, in loop of what's going on, having situational awareness, and also working together to bring about positive outcomes for our students, faculty, and staff. I think another component that our division is really priding itself on is an acronym called DOSE, coined by the great Vinnie Board back in the aughts. which stands for Delivering Outstanding Spartan Experiences. And what that really means is going the extra mile to make that student's experience the best it could possibly be. One of the taglines in our department's mission, it ends with one connection at a time, and that's reinforcing that expectation that each individual connection, each interaction with a student, each individual interaction with a parent or supporter, that we do the best we can to make sure that that experience is the best outcome we could possibly imagine for them, and working together to find the right solutions. You mentioned that, yeah, there's a lot of events that goes on. Like Marquette and I like to say that we don't really have an off season. We just have different seasons. So right now we're in the conference season. We're ramping up for move-in, but that one team perspective is really helpful for the entire division to band together to make sure that that move-in experience is as top-notch as possible and seamless as possible. Because for a lot of Spartans coming in the fall, they don't know. They may or may not know, unless they have multiple students and multiple across years and different institutions. They don't know what to expect when it comes to movement. So we want to make sure that our teams are in position, are prepared enough to help guide them to the next step. And it's not only the facilities unit's responsibility, it's residence education, it's housing operations and assignments. And then outside of our department, you have all of our administrative support units, culinaries banding together. We have different folks from different divisions coming in that can volunteer and support the movement experience. And so it's really a one team delivering outstanding Spartan experience attitude that helps our students have those events go off seemingly without a hitch.
Well, let's hope those watching, perhaps other universities, will get a dose, get it, of what you're talking about. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But
We love that. If we could spread dose around, that'd be a huge win for us.
yeah, everyone needs a dose of what you guys are doing. All right, Mark Hugh, anything to add there? I think you'd like to.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think the readiness piece of what we do, and Charles and I have had such a great opportunity. Again, I always go back to listening and being around folks that one have been here for quite some time. We have a lot of folks that have been here at Michigan State for 15, 20 years, and be able to pass information along to us, right? That trickle down piece of it, which is making sure that Charles and I know the things that happened in the past so that we can best prepare for the future. Listening to, again, going back to our frontline staff, our maintenance staff, our supervisors and managers communicating to us what they've seen in the past so that we can properly prepare for the future. But I also want to highlight that, Charles and I, as Charles talked about, we don't have a real off time, if you will, right? We are always consistently doing something. But I want to highlight this piece. Our calendars are color coded and they look like a rainbow, and we don't really get an opportunity to really sit down and really do anything because we are always meeting with campus partners both within our division and outside of our division. And we do that so that we're able to probably prepare. We're listening to our campus partners. We are connecting with our campus partners and working with them. And this is going from spring. This is going from fall readiness and move in to football games, which we all know are always complicated, and graduation, and of course, highlighting this year that we had an incident that happened on that happened about 3 years ago. We called 213. It was a active shooting that happened on our campus, and I think one of the things we that came out of that was is we met with every single campus partner on prevention and how can we assist, and that's Charles and I, how can we assist in this process, and working with all of our campus partners and our local and state partners to make sure we're able to be to be properly prepared, to make sure that to make sure we have things in place. And I think that kind of highlights, Charles and I's role here at Michigan State, because it's not just about the people within our division. It's about our campus partners, but it's about our local and state partners and making sure we're able to communicate with them as well.
Yeah, and if I may add one more thing, I think, like as Mark Hugh mentioned, as worth noting, that the systems that we had in place at the time worked. And, there's uh, no real way to prepare for an event like that. And so, as far as getting us through it, as far as our teams being able to navigate the in the moment, think where the after came in is from helping the unit to overall feel the opportunity that they could feel through the incident. And so that's a testament to the systems that we have in place that are here before and after us, and the leadership and throughout the unit. So not only us, but like our direct reports and campus partners alike.
Thank you, Charles. Nice addition. Yeah, we talk about the routine of cleaning and maintenance and all that you do, but then those other things can crop up, the emergencies and you mentioned an active shooter situation. All you can do is prepare as best you can, and you both have done a great job in being ready. Mark Q, we only have a couple more questions, easier ones maybe. When you step back and look at the operation as a whole, what are you most proud of about the people and the culture behind resident hall services at Michigan State University?
I will, I'm going to ask this question kind of beating the same drum I've kind of been talking about here, which is listening to our frontline workers, our supervisors, and our managers. And I think one of the things that I'm so proud of and what I love is that I can come to work and folks are honest with me. It's not, they're not looking at the position so much as me as a person, and I'm allowing myself to be open to listen and hear their thoughts from folks from all types of different backgrounds. And I think, for Charles and I, it's a breath of fresh air when you can come into the office and folks are not afraid to speak their mind and talk to you, and this is from the custodian that's cleaning a bathroom all the way to, again, our assistant vice president, and speaking to us and making sure that we're doing the best job that we can because we're listening and we're hearing active information all the time. Um, and I think that's one thing that I love so much about Michigan State. I think the second thing I want to highlight here is, Charles talked about it. Our director, one of her sayings is going to a movie called Drumline, which is one band, one sound. Right? We have to be working together in order for us to achieve the goal of being the best institution that we can possibly be. We cannot silo ourselves. We can't isolate ourselves. We have to work together to again be successful for our stakeholders, which are our students, which are the people that visit our campus. We are an open campus, as Charles alluded to, making sure that we're keeping up with APA standards. When folks, not just the folks that live with us, but when folks come onto our campus from outside of Michigan State, we want them to walk in and say, "Woo, wow, man, it's really nice in here." And I think over the course of the last 5 years, we've done that. We've folks have walked in, and we've gotten feedback that even though things are seasoned, they still look nice. They still feel fresh. And I think that that's one thing I want to highlight, and I love here at Michigan State.
That is a good feeling when what you do is noticed and valued. So, Charles, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think overall, we really pride ourselves on our investment in people. Um, being people first, helping people to fully actualize and live their authentic selves. And so part of that is development. We have a lot of developers on our teams and our leadership. So from our facility managers who are really keyed into providing opportunities for staff to fully engage in the institution, but also prepare them for the culture or the next opportunity that they have before them. One of the things we've instituted is a workplace resource group, which has been doing stellar out on the conference circuit, the Women in Facilities group. So we've made a concerted effort to provide a resource for the women in facilities to gather, feel safe, and share development opportunities with each other so that they can one day ascend into the ranks of a facility manager and beyond. And so from that group, we've found it was a nice pipeline into our supervisor positions, particularly for our frontline staff. Also, we've had other events, training opportunities that help our teams not only work with the technical part elements of their job, but also the soft skills. So using different programs like APA, using the ISSA Advanced Custodian program. So those have been really successful in helping our staff feel that they've been invested in, so that they can be their full actualized selves professionally and personally while at work.
Thank you, Charles. And Mark, Charles alluded to this with ISSA, but belonging to an association like ISSA, how has that helped you with your challenges and growth? And Charles, if you have more to add afterwards, feel free. Mark?
Again, I probably say going back to, creating that standard and making sure we're aligned with what's going on around, around us, both, within the state and around the country, and hearing from other folks about their interaction with ISSA, and make sure that, again, we are staying lockstep in what we need to do as an organization. I can't emphasize enough, both Charles and I, it's not just about issuing the standard out to folks. It's not just about talking about it. It's about, are we hitting the marks we need to hit on with and checking that standard, and again aligning it with what other folks are doing around the country. If we're not doing that, then we're just throwing stuff out there, and it's just, I call it just wood for the fire, right? We don't want just wood for the fire. We want to put coal in there. We want it to consistently burn, so that we are staying consistent, and we're also, again, we're leveling up. We're not just staying flat. We want to continue to keep leveling up. And I think, working with ISSA, that's what we continue to keep doing.
Thank you, Mark. And Charles, anything to add there? We have one more question after that.
Oh, absolutely. So the this is our unit has been engaged in the SIMS certification standard since 2014. And that's something we intend to continue to do. We post our accreditation shingle in all of our public facilities with pride. Last go around, we achieved GB with honors. And this year we're going after that sustainability credential. We're really going really hard at that so that we can make sure that we be one of the first to highlight not only the things that we've that currently do, but also the directive and emphasis behind sustainability that we have as a unit. And so we're really excited about that. We have a team that's been dedicated to collecting all the artifacts so that we can submit and getting ready to receive our assessors in the fall. So we're really excited about that opportunity to renew for another 2 years.
Thank you. Good comments. So, Charles, one last question, then Mark Q can close it out. Looking ahead, what do you believe will be the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities for university housing and facility operations over the next few years?
Big question. That's the $1 million question, way above my pay grade. But if I had to take a stab at it, I'd say just meeting student demands and needs. Our division's been really tapped into what this generation of student is really plugged into and what they expect out of their housing and their campus living experience. So just making sure that our facilities meet those needs, and also working towards helping our facilities to meet student needs and demands, but while running more efficiently Because as Mark, you mentioned, our last major residence hall was built in 1967. So we've got a lot of work to do to make these buildings that were originally made between 1939 and 1967 meet the needs for the 2026 and beyond student. That includes updating our infrastructure, updating our architecture, updating the different utilities and MEP footprint, so that it helps to make the students' experience as seamless as possible so that they can learn and thrive here.
Good observations. Thank you. And Mark Q, this is it. Last comment.
I'll do my best I'll do my best for Kobe to go ahead and throw it up to me. I'll be Shaq and dunk it, right? So I think as Charles alluded to, right, our infrastructure and staying in line with our with what our students are asking for. I think, from Charles, myself, you, Jeff, I think as we all were in undergraduate universities, colleges. Things have changed from when we were there to where we are now, right? We're trying to stay ahead of it and trying to make sure we're hearing what our students are asking for, keeping things keeping things within affordability. Trying to make sure that we're offering a really good product and making sure our students are arriving here and the product aligns with what they're paying for. We want students to get here and say, and parents as well, right? Because again, we're taking your most prized asset, and that's your student, and we want them to come into the halls and feel like, hey, yeah, this is the place I want you to be, and I'm happy to go ahead and make sure I'm sending money to the right place where you need to be. And I also want to be able to finish it up by saying. Um, our task here is never easy because we are always we're always trying to find a moving target. And I think that we do the best that we can, by again going back to listening, going back to reading, going back to again, when students are walking across campus, Charles and I all the time, we see what students are looking at. We kind of stop and kind of look over and go, oh, okay, they're looking at that. Oh, okay, they're seeing that. And I think those things are important to us because as much as we want to read a survey, as much as we want to, just sit in the town hall, it's on the ground where you really get a chance to highlight and see what people are seeing and what students are seeing. Charles and I are in a golf cart during move-in, and most times they don't know who we are, right? We have reflective vests on or things like that, and we're standing at the elevator like students are, and we're going upstairs, and we're just hearing about from loft beds to carpet. How can we improve? How can we improve our infrastructure? How can we improve the student experience? And again, it goes back, and I'm gonna tie it all back to this at the end of here, from our senior vice president, Vinny Gore. How are we delivering outstanding Spartan experience? And that's where it comes down to.
Fantastic. I value our time today. For those watching, you might have noticed that Mark Q and I were drinking a little bit of coffee. I don't know if Charles needs caffeine or not, but it's the first thing in the morning. They have a big day ahead of them, but they set aside some time to talk to ISSA. But I know you both have a lot to do and maybe some catch up now that you've given away some time for this interview. But thank you both and keep up the good work.
Thank you, and we value our partnership and our connection to ISSA, and this has been awesome.
Thank you, Jeff. This has been awesome, and I appreciate giving us the opportunity to speak to you and giving us the opportunity to again highlight Michigan State University.